Welcome to the online session of Arihant English Medium School for the academic year 2020-21. My dear students, before starting the session, I would give a small introduction. My dear students, all of us we know that in our country, India, many rulers ruled over us from many centuries. If we study the history, we can see many dynasty came, many rulers, many invaders. They ruled over us from time to time. And the last rulers on us who ruled were the Britishers. Yes, my dear students. They had ruled over us for more than 150 years. But for many people, some question rises in the mind that more than 150 years, why our people, why our forefathers, our citizens of this country kept quiet? Means why they didn't revolt? So it is not like that, my dear students. We had revolted. Our forefathers, our past people, our past citizens of this country, they had revolted many a times. But due to some reasons, it may be like lack of leadership, lack of unity, lack of ammunition, they didn't got the success. Otherwise, we would have got the independence many years ago. That is, many years ago, the actual independence year. So many a time we gave a strong revolt for the British, but didn't got the success. That is a different point. So today we are going to study the freedom struggle of 1857, which is also known as the First War of Independence. Yes. In 1857, a great struggle took place in India which completely shook the British government. Yes, my dear students, any revolt, any anger doesn't come immediately. We have to, means people tolerate it from many years, they undergo various problems, losses, due to which then there is the eruption of lava, like that it is. So 1857, which is also known as First War of Independence. So today we are going to study which were the conditions due to which First War of Independence, that is 1857, took place. This struggle did not arise all of a sudden. Earlier as well, many such struggles took place in India against the British. Yes, my dear students, before 1857 also, in some of our country, some parts, revolt were happening. The scope of the struggle of 1857 and its background was taken into consideration by V.D. Savarkar in his book, The Indian War of Independence 1857. Later, many revolutionaries got inspiration from it to fight against the British. So, if we want to know the revolt of 1857 in a better manner, we should read the book of V.D. Savarkar, in which he had explained in a detailed manner. Minute observation is there. He has described everything about that war, and many people after that, many revolutionaries, they read this book and you can say revolted against the Britishers. Yes, my dear students. Now, again, starting with the first point, before that, I would like to share, do you know with you? Paika rebellion. From medieval times, there was a system of Paikas existing in Odisha. The standing army of various independent kings were known as Paika. That is the active army who were participating in war. They were known as Paika. Rent-free lands were granted to them for cultivation by the king. King not used to take any kind of rent, revenue from them, and land were given to them free of cost for cultivation purpose. The Paikas earned their livelihood through it. In return, they were supposed to stand by the king's side in the case of eruption of war. Yes, king will give them land free of cost for cultivation, and they should earn their livelihood from that land. In return, they should stand with king. They should give security to the king whenever there is condition of war, any external aggression took place, then they should stand with the king. This was the condition. In 1803, the English conquered Odisha. They took over the hereditary rent-free lands granted to the Paikas. This made the Paikas angry. Similarly, common man's life had also become miserable because of rise in salt price due to tax imposed on it by the British. This resulted in an armed rebellion of Paikas against the British in 1817. Bakshi Jaganbandhu Bidyadhar led this revolt. Yes, my dear students. So, what had happened? What is the history? In 1803, Britishers came and occupied the hereditary land of Paikas, and then the Paikas couldn't kept quiet. They took out. It bursted into a armed rebellion, revolt against the Britishers. This is the history. Now, the first point we are going to study is struggle before 1857. At every place where the British rule was established in India, the local people had to bear ill effects of British government. Yes, my dear students, wherever British establishment was there, their administration was there in India, local people were too much affected from it. The Indians started feeling that they are exploited in every strata due to the company's rule. Yes, strata, every department, every field, they were exploited. This resulted in increase of discontent against their rule. So, because of their unjust policies, because of their schemes, because of their revenue system, means British started interfering in all the matters of Indian people. It may be social, political, all personal matters, because of which people now started feeling insecure and a feeling of revolt was there in the mind of people. Farmers and common people became bankrupt due during the company's rule. Yes, all the farmers, common people, they became bankrupt. In 1770, there was a major famine in Bengal province. But the British rulers were indifferent and insensitive towards Indian people. Yes, my dear students, in 1770 there was a great famine of Bengal. Means there were no rains, not a single cultivation on the field. Then citizen at that time, people were very much fed up from these conditions. Their life became miserable. They didn't have anything to eat. Instead of paying attention towards them, British became indifferent to them. They not showed any attention. They not showed any kind of, you can say, feeling of help to them. From 1763 to 1857, the peasants of Bengal participated in the rebellion led by the sannyasi fakir. So 1763 to 1857, various peasants, farmers, they started revolting against these Britishers from time to time. And who led this leadership? Sannyasi fakir. Similarly, revolts took place in Gujarat, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, and South India. Yes, my dear students, revolt was there before 1857 also. But how they were? We were not having a proper unity. They were not taking place at a one time in all over India. They were happening, but in different parts of the country time to time. Because of which British government got success to stop them one by one. If sudden at all in the whole country there would have been the revolt, that would have been a different part. Okay. Ammaji Naik also gave a strong fight. He organized the Ramoshis and the local youth to revolt against the British. Yes, one of our freedom fighter, Ammaji Naik, he gave a very strong revolt, strong rebellion to the British. He made, you can say, a kind of big army of the youth people, trained them against the Britishers. They were organized Ramoshis and also the local youths to fight against British. They drew a declaration and appealed to fight against the British and overthrow the government. They inspired people in Pune, Satara, Ahmednagar, Solapur, Nashik, Bhor, etc. In 1832, Ammaji Naik was arrested and hanged to death in Pune. Yes, my dear students, this was the strategy of Britishers. Whenever our local leader, whenever our freedom fighter used to organize the people, you can say make a good unity of people, at that time what Britishers used to do? Yes, they used to arrest such big leaders, revolutionaries, and you can say hang them. In this way, we have lost a very great freedom fighter. He had Ammaji Naik was organizing, you can say, a big army. Many people, youths were inspired from him. Yes, you can see here people from Pune, Satara, Ahmednagar, Solapur, all of them they have united to fight against the Britishers. That's why Britishers arrested him and hanged him in Pune. The Indian tribes and forest communities also challenged the British laws, put British rule. Their livelihood was dependent on forest resources. The British laws put restriction on it. Yes, students, tribal people who were there in far off villages who were living in forest, their life was totally dependent on the raw material, the goods on which the forests are there. Now, what Britishers did, as their livelihood was dependent on forest resources, the British laws put restrictions on it. What were the British laws? That you cannot use the forest goods, you cannot take the forest resources, and their life was totally dependent on that. Then how they should live? So that's why they started revolting against the Britishers. Consequently, what had happened? Bihar, Kolam, area of Chota Nagpur, Gonds of Odisha, Santhals of Bihar fought against the British. So one after another, many tribal people, their tribal, you can say, tribes started to fight against the Britishers, and time to time they gave a strong rebellion to the Britishers. The Gadkaris from Kolhapur and Font Savan from Konkan also challenged the British. Before 1857, some zamindars and loyal class from different territories rebelled against the British. So it was not like that, students, that only poor were fed up from the, you can say, injustice policies of British. Even the big zamindars, royal class people, everyone, they were fed up from the unjust policies of Britishers, and time to time they did revolt. But how their revolt was? It was not in a unity. Once there was a revolt in Maharashtra, after that 1 week it will happen in Rajasthan, then Madhya Pradesh, like that, due to which the British got enough time to stop all these revolts by force. Okay. In the army of East India Company, there were many Indian sepoys, Indian soldiers. They were ill treated by the company. Their salary and allowances were very less compared to the British soldiers. In 1806 at Vellore and in 1824 at Barakpur, the revolt took up a fierce form. Yes, my dear students. So, as we know, Britishers, before coming here, they had established their East India Company. In this East India Company, many Indian sepoys were also working. But how their condition was there? Their condition was very miserable. British not used to give them proper salary. On the other hand, British soldiers were given good salaries, proper allowances. Their facility was good compared to our Indian soldiers. So because of this, two revolts took place. First in 1806 at Vellore and second at 1824 at Barakpur. And these two revolts, they took up a fierce form. So what had happened, that we will see. All these rebellions took place in their respective territories. They were local in nature and single handed. The British forcibly broke down the revolts. Yes, what I told you just now. Revolts used to happen, but they used to happen at the local place, not all together at one time, because of which Britishers got enough time to stop these revolts forcibly, and they did the same. If at sudden all the revolt took place in the whole of the country, then Britishers would have, you can say, got a lot of tension. They couldn't have stopped all the revolt together. So this was the difference. Public unhappiness was suppressed, by it did not vanish. This anger burst out in the freedom struggle of 1857. Yes, though at that time Britishers stopped the revolt forcibly, but still the angerness, unhappiness which was there in the mind of people, it couldn't stop. They couldn't hide it out for a long time. It can be seen in the revolt of 1857. At various places, the rebellion took place against the British. The discontent in the minds of the diverse classes blowed out in the form of this struggle, and its outbreak was in the form of an armed rebellion. Yes, time to time we can see the angerness of people in the form of revolt, and this revolt take place the form of the condition of armed rebellion. Yes. Now, my dear students, next point we are going to study is causes for the struggle of 1857. Yes, why the freedom struggle of 1857 took place. Causes. Why? What were the reasons? See, during pre-British period, there were many kingdoms in India. Whatever changes took place at the center never affected the village system. Yes, when Britishers didn't came in India, before them, how are administration going on in India? Central government was there, but whatever decisions coming from central government, it didn't affect the condition at the village level. Okay, the village system continued as it is. Yes, whatever the things were going on in village, they were continued as it is. All the rules, you can say, exactly were not imposed on the villages, because they were the poor people, peasants, daily workers were there. But the British changed the prevalent system and tried to set up a new system. When Britishers came, what mistake they did, what unjust they did, that whatever rule will come in central, it should be imposed up till the village level. This was their great mistake that they did. Looking at the changing nature of village system created a feeling of instability and insecurity in the minds of people. Before Britishers, whatever rules used to come, collection of revenue taxes, they were not imposed up till village level. So now when Britishers changed this policy, the people living in the villages, they became insecure, unhappy because of these tyranny rules of Britishers. Hence, a feeling of insecurity started in them. So, first we will see economic causes. The British introduced new revenue system, tax system, to increase their income. Taxes were forcibly extracted from the farmers. When Britishers came now, they wanted to increase their income. Hence, they brought about new rules in the revenue collection, tax collection, and they used to take the tax forcibly from everyone. As a result of it, the agriculture system collapsed. The farmers, poor farmers, they couldn't pay the tax, so many heavy taxes. Hence, agricultural system in India started collapsing. To sell the British goods in India and enjoy profit was the policy of the British. What Whatever things, goods used to come from England, they used to sell in India, earn a huge profit. This was the policy of the Britishers. They imposed heavy taxes on the local industries. Whatever local traditional industries were there in our country, Britishers used to collect heavy taxes from them. The handicrafts and textile industry of India were ruined. Yes, they were about to finish, on the verge of extinction. Such were the condition. Many Indian artisans became unemployed. They had growing discontent in the mind against the British. So, the condition which were going on in India, my dear students, as soon as Britishers came, the conditions started becoming worse day by day. Hence, discontent started growing in the minds of people. Yes, all kind of people. It may be farmer, peasants, artisans, whatever the workers were there. Now discontent started. So these are the economic causes. Next we will see social causes. The Indians felt that the Britishers were interfering in the culture, tradition and customs of India. Another mistake of Britishers, they didn't stop themselves only from the administration point of view. Now they started interfering in all the matters. It may be the matter of our culture, tradition, religious matter, customs, etc. Sati Prohibition, Widow Remarriage Act were correct from social point of view, but the Indians thought that it is an interference in the lifestyle and hence they were dissatisfied. Yes, my dear students. Britishers, they banned sati system, then they started widow remarriage. Though from social point of view these were very correct decisions, no doubt. Sati was a very evil custom that used to practice in our society. Even widows should not be married, it was also wrong. So Britishers, they brought about these two change that were good, no doubt. But what people thought at that time, that Britishers are interfering in our culture, in our tradition, in our customs, and discontent started growing in their minds. These are the social systems, social causes. Next, political causes. After 1757, the British took charge of many Indian states. Later, Lord Dalhousie annexed many princely states on various causes. Yes, students, after 1757, many states were under the control of Britishers and many princely states were also there, which were annexed by Lord Dalhousie. The Nawab of Ayodhya was dethroned on grounds of maladministration, whereas the princely states of Satara, Nagpur, and Jhansi were annexed through the doctrine of lapse. Due to the policies of Dalhousie, the Indians did not consider the British as trustworthy. Yes, Britishers used to promise Indian people or Indian rulers, but they never stick to their point. Hence, the image of Britishers started diminishing. It went from the mind of Indian people. Means our Indian people came to know that these Britishers are not trustworthy. We cannot trust on them because they promise us, but they didn't stick to their promise. Afterwards, they changed it and bring about all the changes. They annexed many states on various grounds. So this was a very great, you can say, setback for the Indian people. Discontent among Indian soldiers. So, how the discontent among Indian soldiers grew? The Indian soldiers were given low status by the British officers. Just before we have seen small introduction. Now we will see in detail why our Indian soldiers were discontent. Their status was very low. They could not gain any post higher than the Subedar. Yes, maximum the post Britishers used to give to our Indian was of Subedar. More higher than that, they never used to give. They were paid less compared to the British soldiers. Salary of British soldiers was good, high, plus many other facilities were there for them. But for Indians, no higher salaries, no facilities. The allowances were also gradually decreased. Due to these reasons, there was growing discontent among the Indian soldiers. Because of all these reasons, our Indian soldiers were fed up and discontent started growing in the minds of them. Now we will see the immediate cause for 1857, revolt of 1857. In 1856, see what had happened. The British provided long Enfield rifles to the Indian sepoys in 1857, just 1 year before 1857. 1856, what British brought about? They introduced a new rifle and gave it to Indian sepoys, soldiers. The sepoys were required to bite the end of the cartridge. The news spread out that these cartridges were smeared in the fats of cow and pig. At the end of that rifle, that was a cartridge that the soldiers had to remove it. It was very hard. They had to remove it from their mouth. And what the news spread in the Indian sepoys? That these cartridges are made up of, they are smeared of in the fats of cow and pig. Due to this, the religious sentiment of Hindu and Muslim sepoys were hurt and made them unhappy. So, because of this news that it is made up of the fat of cow and pig, the religious sentiments of both Hindu and Muslim people, it was hurt due to this news and made them unhappy. So, the outburst took place. Disciplinary action was taken on those sepoys who refused to use the smeared cartridges and were given severe punishment. Many sepoys, our Indian sepoys, they, yes, just neglected. They refused that we will not use these cartridges as they contain the smeared of from the fat of pig and cow. So many of the sepoys, they refused. And what Britishers did? They gave severe punishment. They took action against such sepoys. Then what happened? See, Mangal Pandey from Barakpur cantonment shot an English officer as a reaction to unjust nature of British officers. So Mangal Pandey, he was also an Indian sepoy from Barakpur cantonment. What he did? He became so much angry that he shot an English officer in reaction to that because they were punishing us, giving severe punishment. Mangal Pandey was arrested and hanged to death. Yes, he was arrested and hanged to death. In this way, he sacrificed his life for our country. This news spread like fire. The entire regiment of Indian sepoys at Meerut took part in freedom struggle and marched towards Delhi. As soon as people heard the news of the hanging of Mangal Pandey, the whole regiment of Meerut, it started revolting and it started marching towards Delhi. Thousands of Indians voluntarily joined them on the way. They handed over the leadership of the freedom struggle to Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah and proclaimed him as the Emperor of India. Yes, my dear students, what had happened? Now all the sepoys, they became very much angry. They started revolting towards Delhi. They started their march, and in the way they received thousands of common people also. Innumerable people started joining this march, and it became a very huge demonstration. And all these people, they gave the leadership of this revolt to whom? To the Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah, and declared him as the Emperor of India. Yes, it was a very bigger step that our Indian people sepoys took. Next, scope of the struggle. How the scope of the struggle was there? The self-confidence of the sepoys increased with the capture of Delhi. So they marched towards Delhi, captured Delhi. Now the confidence of sepoys was very high. It also gave inspiration to other soldiers. Now this regiment did this a great act of capturing Delhi. All other soldiers, they also inspired from them. The revolt soon spread in North India. So one by one the revolt started spreading in all over country. First is spread in North India. The Indian soldiers revolted in cantonments from Bihar to Rajputana. The revolt spread in Lucknow, Allahabad, Kanpur, Banaras, Bareilly and Jhansi. Later it spread to South India. So students, the Meerut cantonment which did the revolt and marched towards Delhi, they became inspiration to all soldiers of India. Very soon in North and after that even in South, all the soldiers, they started revolting against the Britishers. In the revolt, Chhatrapati Pratap Singh of Satara and his officer Rango Bapuji, Cheman Sahab of Kolhapur, Bala Sahab Bhave of Nargod, Bhagoji Naik of Ahmednagar were in the forefront. So these great leaders, they took the charge and came in forefront. Royal Queens of Pet Surgana from Nashik district also participated in the struggle. In 1857, under the leadership of Kajar Singh, the Bhils revolted, whereas Shankar Shah led the revolt in Satpura region. 400 female Bhils participated in the revolt at Khandesh. So one after another in all the part students, maybe it is north, south, east, west, all the people, all the tribal peoples, even the Bhils tribe, they started revolting against them, and men were there. Other than men, female also joined, women also joined this revolt. 400 female Bhils participated in this revolt at Khandesh. So India was getting a great favor, means we were getting a great favor from all these soldiers, common people, farmers, and even zamindars, royal class people, small, you can say queens, princes of various states. All of them, they have united now against Britishers. So this was the scope of struggle. Hope everyone you might have understood till here. Remaining points we will see in our next session. Thank you.